All right, everybody. It says I'm live, so I'm going to believe it. We'll see. We'll see how it's going. I just got everything hooked up at the last second because I don't have a lot of power. But if you're out there, come on in here. Let's sit down and talk. Hopefully, some people are out there. You're going to stop by, see old Bunker. Come on in and say hi. Get into the comments section. Type in where you are. Say hello, whatnot. Let me know if the sound and the video are okay. If you can do that quickly, that will surely help. It's a little bit dark on the background. I got the one light here because I don't have enough power, but I think we're going to do all right. I've tried to save enough. I just clicked on the last minute, so I wasn't using all the full power because I'm running the laptop lights and everything off of the Goal Zero 400. All right, everybody. My name is Michael Bunker. This is the Bunker Nation. I'm going to be your host for the evening. I don't look good. I understand it. You don't have to tell me. I'm on day 4 of this thing we're not allowed to mention that everybody's afraid of. And so we're going to talk about that. Hello, Hava. Hello, Pat. Hello, Brett and Dana. Good to see you guys. Come on in. Everybody push in. You don't have to worry about getting the COVID from me. Just push on in here. No social distancing, no mask. Just get into the comment section, type in where you are, say hi, be friendly. I'm going to go do the box thing, and then we'll come back. All right, there it is. I hope you guys didn't miss me too much over the last couple of days. Last show I did was on Monday night, and that was the day that we found out that we were positive. Danielle actually tested positive. The rest of us started showing symptoms almost immediately, but we're showing symptoms, and mine picked up that night and started getting really, really big the next day. So that's where we are. We're on I say day 4, and I've mentioned this on Facebook a couple of times. It's not really day 4. It's day 4 for me, for Danielle. I look tired. That's because I didn't sleep, but I'll get into that. Yeah, I don't look too bad. I got a little bit of color in my skin. I've lost some weight, about 6 or 7 pounds so far. Most of that's water weight. So anyways, we found out on Monday night that Danielle had tested positive. We already knew that Sarah was sick, so that was pretty much a slam dunk. At that time, Jennifer and I were not. We were asymptomatic, but we were not hopeful. We all live in very close quarters in a tiny little cottage, and later that night, both Jennifer and I started getting symptoms, and by the next day, we were pretty much all into it. So Danielle had her symptoms going back to Friday. So for her, this is like day 7, day 8. But that's where we are. Hello, everybody. Hello, Kim. Good to see you. Pat, if I didn't say hi, hope everybody's doing well out there. I'm a little sleepy. My eyes are a little tired. So for me, the symptoms have mainly been body aches and pains, very slow. I get tired very easily. I can't do very much because I get very, very tired. But mainly it's been body pains. In particular for me, it's almost like sciatica, but it's not quite, where from my waist down, just throbbing leg pain, glute pain, kidney pain, ankle pain, everything. And as long as I'm up and standing and walking around, I'm fine. But when I would lay down to go to sleep, I couldn't sleep. My legs just hurt too bad. You know, where it's almost like that restless leg syndrome where you can't stay in one place. You have to move. And so I would lay down for about an hour, and then, hello, Florida. I would lay down for about an hour, and then I would have to get up and pee, or I'd go do something just because it hurt so bad. And then, so last night, no sleep. I went to bed early. I was up every hour, couldn't sleep. So finally, about 4 o'clock in the morning, I got up, made myself some decaf coffee with the hope that I might fall asleep at some point. And then some oatmeal and stuff. And then I went and laid down about 6 o'clock to try it again. And I was laying there actually mentally examining myself, you know, and I felt the pain start going away in my lower body, and it finally went away completely, and I fell asleep, and I slept for about 3 hours. Since then, I've probably slept about 30 minutes. And so I'm going to try again tonight. I didn't want to sleep a whole lot during the day because I would like to sleep tonight. So that's where we are. And I can now lay down, sit down, all that, and I don't feel all that pain. I have pain everywhere, so my muscles hurt and all that, but it's just like a nagging kind of, oh, that's sore. Whereas the pain I had in my lower body was pretty brutal. And so if you've ever had that restless leg or whatever where you can't sleep at night, it seems like everything hurts and you can't find a good position. All right, Daniel, see your friends here. Good to see you guys. Glad you could be here. If you got questions or comments, put them in the comment section. A couple of things I want to tell you. If you ever happen to end up with the disease of the day, the pandemic of the day, get yourself a good book. I got several here I could recommend, written by Michael Bunker. But this is the one I've got. I mentioned this one the other day, 1929 by Frederick Turner. R-rated warning. There are a few useless and mainly awkward sex scenes in this book, but for the most part it is fantastically written. It's been wonderful to have a book that I could actually get into that I haven't already read. I read the same books over and over and over again. And this could lead to a rant, but I'm not going to let it. Hello, Hannah. Good to see you. I don't think most books are good. I have 3,000 books, and I read a lot of the books that are out. And I have a lot of author friends, and there's a lot of author friends that are following me that watch these videos. I don't think most of the books are good. Hello, Tracy. Good to see you. My daughter Tracy's in the house. And so when I find a good book, I read it more than once because I like the prose. I like the act. Most people don't read books because they like good writing. They read books because they like to be entertained. The same reason they watch TV, or the same reason they watch movies, the same reason they listen to music. There are people who listen to music for different reasons. They are entertained by extreme talent. All right? There are people who like art just because it's pretty. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not condemning that. But there are people who like art because they understand it, because it makes sense to them and they can see kind of extensive talent. Most people, yeah, have you ever watched Ratatouille? Anyone can cook, right? And while that's true, anybody can follow a recipe and anybody can learn how to cook, and some people could get quite good at it. What I like to call is beyond adequate. There are people, and you've probably met them in your life, who can cook. They are chefs by nature. There's something God-given in them that lets them understand food and understand flavor, understand texture, understand all these things. And they are just a complete they're apart, all right? And this is true about everything. I'm not saying this is godly, and I'm not saying this is the way the world should be. I'm telling you a fact about the reality of the world. There are people who are adequate at anything and can get good at anything. You can get good at anything if you just keep doing it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And most writers, most artists, most musicians are adequate. They've learned to mimic things that they've heard. They've learned to improvise on those things, and they've learned to produce their own, and they've learned to make it enjoyable for other people who are just in it for entertainment or who like that sound. Okay, so there's like a pop sound. I told you I wasn't going to get into a rant, and here I am. There are these factories that produce pop music. Like 5 people write like all of the pop music, and they're from Sweden. And they know that there's this method, there's this recipe, and you can stick anything in there in this recipe, and as long as the person has adequate talent, you can make them into a huge star. That doesn't mean they're not talented. I said they're adequate. Adequate means that they're good enough for the task, right? But you have people through no, I don't know, merit of their own who are transcendent, right? They don't. Maybe they don't have great voices. Maybe they don't have. We just had a bunch of them die this year. Billy Joe Shaver, Guy Clark, John Prine. These people were transcendent songwriters, right? They weren't just adequate. In fact, in many cases and in many areas, they were not adequate. But in basketball, there are people who are so good that if you were the best person in your 5-state area, you still wouldn't be able to even be on the court with these guys, right? And music is that way too. And there are people who are good, who are recognized as good, but they're still derivative. In other words, they don't create anything. They've learned how to mock something else somebody else did. I don't even know if I'm making any sense. I'm getting too loud. I'm sorry. I will try to moderate my certainty. Most writers are not good. And if you're a writer and you're a friend of mine, you've been told that by me. And the reason why is because they are either not original or they are not above adequate. Adequate is fine. You can find readers. You can sell books. You can make a living, perhaps, possibly. Most people can't, but you might be able to. The endeavor to get there is worth the challenge, to know whether you're any good is worth it, to try it. I'm not trying to dishearten anybody or tell anybody. I'm just trying to be factual here. So when you find something that is well written, that is superlative, in other words, that there's a talent there that's not derivative, that's not it's new, it's fresh. It doesn't even have to be new. It's just is. It just is. It's truthful. So you've heard me talk about this before in writing, that most writing today, popular writing, is not true. And because it's not true, it's not good. It has really not a lot to do with the genre, although untrue writers have a tendency to flock into science fiction and fantasy and those type of things. They have a disconnect with truth and with reality, and so they find themselves in areas where they can just make up everything and nothing has to be true. That doesn't mean that there aren't great writers in sci-fi and in fantasy who write truth. They write true things. A true thing, regardless of the genre, is something that can pull the reader into it, and they can believe that that world exists and that world is real, and what's happening in there is true to the characters as they've been defined. All right? Hello, Scott. That's not true of most writers, and that's not true of most genres. So when I read something, I have this part of my brain that can go, this is adequate. People are going to like this. People are going to probably, if you can hit the magic elixir of getting people to see it, getting people to read it and all this kind of stuff, maybe it's got a catchy shtick to it. You might be able to get some people to read it. Most likely, if it's really good, you can't get anybody to read it. All right, and so this is the only novel this guy's written. Apparently, he's from Dallas. Maybe he lives in Dallas. I think he's a professor. The writing is transcendent. It's really, really good. And I'm not saying that because it sounds like me. You have no sound. I think it might just be you, but if anybody else will give me a sound check, let me know if the sound is on and the audio is on. Scott says he's got no sound. No, Sandy says she has no sound. I'm thinking it's probably just you, Sandy, but we'll check. We'll get a sound check just to me. And the thing about that is just because having you say your writing sucks, I have no reason to disbelieve you because I haven't read it. Doesn't mean that it always will be that way. It takes a while sometimes for a writer to find their voice and to find something that is real. Okay, so the sound's fine. That's probably you saying it. You probably need to restart your computer, but you can't hear me, so it's just a big circle. It sometimes takes a while for a writer to find their voice, and sometimes you got to find the right project, but also it takes a lot of work. A lot of that work is reading. And so what you want to do is you want to find some great writers, read their work, and then you want to study what it is that they're doing, and not just the words, not just the pattern of the words or the vocabulary that they're using, but study what it is they're doing. And so, for example, in this book, my favorite jazz musician of all time, this book is about the life of Bix Beiderbecke, or as my wife says, Big Spider Bite. Hello, Frank. And so we're going to talk about COVID if you want to. I'm not even supposed to say that. That's probably going to get this video blackballed. If you got questions or comments, put them in the comment section. I'm just having a conversation here. So in this book is a story of Bix Beiderbecke, who was a transcendent trumpet cornetist in the early 1920s. The very beginnings of jazz, not the instant beginning of it, but like the very next year or two when jazz was rolling out across the America, basically leaving New Orleans and going up to Chicago. A lot of its path was along the Mississippi River, and young Bix lived on in Davenport, Iowa, and the paddle boats would come in there, and he would listen to jazz. His brother came back from World War I, brought some jazz records, and he started listening to Nick LaRocca of I think it was the New Orleans Jazz Kings. I could be wrong about that. Anyways, he was transfixed. He was blown away. He went and bought himself a cornet. He taught himself how to play it incorrectly. And he would just listen to those, and he would learn to play Nick LaRocca playing these songs, but then he went off on his own. In other words, once he got that sound that he wanted, then he realized he could do that himself, right? So this is what you need to do as far as writing, is you have to find something that's really, really good that you like. Find something you like that doesn't suck. And then get good at it. And then you can start to do that on your own. There are some things that will help you expand your vocabulary, learn how to describe things, emotions, and actions in a way that is you, right? That's you. And so this is what Bix Beiderbecke did with the cornet. And later on, people didn't realize he couldn't even read music. He didn't know the basics. He didn't know the foundations of it. Same thing with Hemingway. Hemingway was not considered a great writer. He was an adequate writer. He was a newsman. He never learned all the rules of grammar and writing and all that kind of stuff. And so he just did it his own way. And people were blown away by it. It was very simple, it was very clean, and it was very true. And truth is the thing that people resonate with. You can't get people to read a book that's true today very easily. And so, and I want to, hello, Diane, hello, War Dog. Hi. So I want to tell you, what do I mean by true? I've explained this before in literature or in music or anything else. A thing that is true doesn't have to be a thing that happened. A thing that didn't happen could be more true than a thing that happened. I had to explain this to my co-author when I wrote God in the Storm with Sean Tuin. All right. And the reason why is because when you're writing a true story of events that happened to this family, you're walking in a minefield. First of all, you have real history that you have to deal with. Second of all, you have their family's personal feelings and all this kind of stuff of things that actually happened that were horrific. 2.5 million people killed, and they had to escape this country in this genocide. You have all these things you have to deal with. It is impossible to write their story in any way that anyone would ever want to read it. There's only a couple of ways you could write it, and one is as a bare narrative of this happened on this day. On Tuesday, we woke up and a bunch of people got killed. On Wednesday, we woke up and nothing happened. Thursday was like Wednesday and nothing happened. Friday was like Thursday and Tuesday and nothing happened. And this goes on for a month. And then some guys come into the town and they kill a bunch of people right in front of everybody and make them bury the bodies. Okay, this is not a very easy to read book if you write it like that. So what you have, and also there's things that happen to you while you're in that situation, and then things that happen to your cousin while you're in that situation that really happened, and things that happen to somebody else that really happened. All those things really happen, and if you're going to tell the story of that event, you want all those things, but you can't really make it a Tolstoyan novel. It can't be 1,800 pages, and you can't introduce characters that don't go anywhere and have no life or no extension beyond. You can't just be in the middle of a paragraph. This is my cousin. Guess what happened to her? She came across a pile of bodies, and there were signs on them that said this is because they didn't listen to the government. So what you do is you conglomerate some of those events that happen to different people and into the same person's life, or you add a character that really didn't exist, but it allows you to bring in stories that really happened. So you end up with a story that is more true than if you would tell it the way that it happened. If you wrote the story the way that it happened, nobody would read it, so it can't really be true. Right? You can tell truth to somebody mano a mano, face to face, but you can't write that down, right? Truth is what really happened, right? It's what really happened. It doesn't have to have all happened in the exact same way, in the same order, the same people, all that kind of stuff in a story. This is true about music too, but it's mainly true about fiction. The problem with most fiction today is that there's no truth in it. You may enjoy it like you enjoy a video game. There's no truth in playing Galaga or Pac-Man. You're shutting your brain off. That whole part of your brain that's looking for truth and meaning and God in the world, it isn't in there. It ain't, and it's not operative when you're playing Pac-Man. That doesn't mean it's not fun, doesn't mean it's not entertaining, doesn't mean it doesn't take up time, doesn't mean you can't get good at it. All right? Not telling you not to do it. I'm saying there is no search for truth going on playing Pac-Man or Fortnite, right? There's nothing that can happen outside the bounds of what the programmers have put there to entertain you. Right. And so this is the turning off of the brain and the turning off of the soul. So truth has to exist in human experience. And so we know it when we see it. It's very hard to describe. It's very hard to do if you're a writer or if you're a musician or whatever. And most people don't even try. I'm with you. Some of my good friends would start in on a lecture right now saying, I don't give two damns about that as long as I'm getting 5-figure payday and people know my name and people are buying my books and I'm winning this award and all that. They write wonderful stuff that people read. Doesn't mean it's true, which is what we're talking about. We just disagree about that, right? One of the best writers that I know of today, one of the best, physically best writers that I know, writes stuff that I would not want him to write. If I was a billionaire and I could get him to stop doing that and start writing other stuff, I would do it. And the reason why is because you're dealing with an audience that doesn't have the capacity for truth. They're not buying it. He's going to sell way more books of his latest novel than this book's ever going to sell. And he's as good a writer as this. So that's the way it is. That's why some of us get stuck. Do you want to keep putting out stuff that's just to sell, or are you an artist, right? It's an age-old story, and I understand all the arguments. I can make all the arguments on both sides. All right, so this is a great book. There is an R-rated warning. There is a couple of talk about truth too one more time. This is a historical fiction novel, and I know a little bit about historical fiction because I've written some of it just recently. There are some things that are not okay. First of all, biblical fiction, I don't like. I will never accept it. I don't think you should do it. It's not acceptable to me. Next thing is taking fictional characters, slandering them, having them commit crimes they did not commit in real life, etc., is not acceptable to me. I don't think you should choose to do that. Just because you can write a story, and it's popular now for someone to come out and say, what if we did John Dillinger, and he met up with Walt Whitman, or John Dillinger met up with spent a weekend drinking with Mark Twain. All right, so there's your beginning of your story. So you take off on it. You decide to make Mark Twain a rapist. This is not okay. I don't think it's okay. This is what happens in this book, and it's one of the things I don't like. The person who becomes a rapist in this story is Clara Bow. And in this story, and I understand his desire to add some fictional elements. So he has him interacting with Ravel, Capone, and all that. But he also has an interaction with Clara Bow, who he makes into a rapist. This is not okay. Don't do that if you're a writer. Don't criminalize and defame somebody after they're dead. All right, I told you I wasn't going to go off on a rant on all that, but I just did. And I know people want to talk about the pandemic, my own personal experiences with it, and what I think. But we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. And just get in there and get your comments. If you want to talk about what I was already talking about, if you want to talk about the pandemic, if you want to talk about how I'm feeling, if you want to talk about what vitamins we're taking, whatever you want to talk about, just type them in the comment section wherever you are. Remember, we're on YouTube, Facebook. I'm only really seeing comments from Facebook. Tracy was on, and she was on Facebook. I'm only seeing comments from YouTube. Pardon me. All right. You got your War Dog High. I think, having said, I think I try to sound like modern authors, especially my current draft. It's not working. I mainly read classics and history books. Yeah, the best thing to do is if you're exercising something, don't try to sound like a modern author, because modern authors have stripped themselves of any style or anything. Most of them are just wanting to be adequate enough to make money, right? So unless you run across somebody who's modern, who's particularly talented, I would not try to sound like them at all. There are some great writers out there that you might read, and I would recommend that you read them. The classics are good. You don't want to write like them, you don't want to publish like them, but you want to learn from them, just like Bix learned from Baraka. How is the rest of the family feeling? Danielle's been getting better and better, and I have to remind everybody, there can be waves and cycles in this. I studied a lot about people's experiences with it, and there's a lot of things you go through emotionally about it, because the truth is, the barest truth that we all need to realize is that 99.9796% of the people are going to get through this just fine. If you get it, unless you have these other comorbidities, you're going to be just fine. But there are things that are emotionally taxing, because the things that happen to the people that are not fine are pretty bad. And like I said, it can be waves. In other words, a lot of the people that end up in the hospital, and some of them even that end up dying, get better and better and better, and then they valley, right? And so All you can do is what you can do, and you can't worry about that stuff because, like I said, the barest fact is that most everybody's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. I can't promise you that. I can't promise me that. But statistically, we're all going to be here 20 days, 30 days from now talking about something else, probably talking about riots in the election. Can't promise any of that. We don't know. God's in charge, and I'm good with whatever he's got planned. So, Danielle's feeling better, been feeling better. Jennifer is like me, very tired, hard to get going. You do something and then you just you're just wiped out, just wiped clean out. And she's been having a lot of body pains too. It seems like Sarah's doing better, and I think she got it earlier too, so she's a little later on in the cycle. She seems to be doing a lot better. She says she's got a little cough, a little irritation, a little congestion, but not much. Really hasn't affected her that much at all. I think probably of all of us, I've probably got hit the hardest. Danielle was pretty bad the first couple of days, but I think mine's probably been the hardest, which doesn't surprise me. I'm the oldest, and I've been pretty abusive to my body all my life. So I'm not surprised that I've taken it a little bit worse. All right, anybody has questions or comments, in the meantime, if you would, hit the like button. Make sure if you're on YouTube, you hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button. Smash it, destroy it. Right now, I'll pause, even if you're a future person. By the way, the future people are the people that are going to be watching this in the future. I can never do this, but over here, if there's not a red live thing, then you're not watching it live. You're watching it in the future. You're a future person. I still would like you to hit the like button, subscribe, and all of that. We're really close. We're 100 and some subscriptions away from hitting 2,000. I keep saying that, but it's very difficult with me on this show because I irritate so many people, and so many people unsubscribe on every show. The people that love me won't take the time to subscribe, but the people that don't like me will unsubscribe quickly. If I say anything remotely around their own golden calves, they don't. They're gone. They're done. I probably pissed off some writers today, just because most of them are not any good. All right, I'm sitting around waiting on you guys. If you've got questions or comments, get them in here. Tonight, I'm going to try to go to bed early. I'm going to try to actually sleep in my bed at night and not wait till 6 o'clock in the morning to fall asleep. That's my goal. But I'm feeling better. By the way, the vitamins that we're taking right now, we got zinc and quercetin and vitamin C, vitamin D. Potassium. I'm taking potassium and magnesium and melatonin. And I don't normally take all of that, but we got the quercetin and the zinc and all that for this. So my allergies are still pretty inflamed. You don't believe the unsubscribe numbers? Yeah, tolerant is certainly their big plus. You find your globalizations. I don't even know what that means. I don't know if that's a backhanded compliment or a backhanded stab. I don't know what a globalization is. Globalization, maybe. I don't know. All right, if you guys have questions or comments or anything you want to talk about, I've still got some time. If not, we'll make it a short night, but just get in there in that comment section and type something in to say hi. I'm here for you. I'm scrolling up here to see if I missed anything. Looking good under the circumstances was the best comment. I should put that on there. If I can find it again. I'm not going to be able to find it again. All right. I'm not seeing any questions or comments come in. All right. Yeah, I went after the writers today and the artists and the musicians, and that's what I do. You never know what I'm going to say. You never know what I'm going to say, and it's going to offend somebody. Almost certainly. But I appreciate you guys doing the likes. I appreciate you guys doing the shares and whatnot that you do. I haven't been getting very many comments on YouTube. A bunch of you are on YouTube right now. A bunch of you are on YouTube. And by the way, if you just wait like a few minutes after I close out, hit the refresh button, go down and leave a comment. That'd be perfect. It'd be perfect. I'm still fighting the battles with YouTube demonetizing all my videos. Thank you. I appreciate you too, Heather. And my allergies right now are flaring up in my nose. But and so I'm still fighting those battles, and sometimes it takes a day or two or three for the videos to get monetized. By the way, we've got a fundraiser going. It's on Facebook, and so far we're doing pretty good. Mainly that's because Danielle's going to lose like 2 weeks of pay plus hazard pay, and we're not going to get that money, and so middle of December is going to be a little tight. So I appreciate you guys who have donated so far to that. If you want to, you can always go to my fundraiser, the subscription page. You can go over there and you can scroll down. You can do a one-time payment on Stripe, or you can do a regular monthly subscription, which we certainly appreciate. You can also go to Facebook and you can do a Facebook PM. It's called Facebook Pay, right on Facebook, and there's no fees either way. Sunday Night Show only had 2 comments yesterday when I finally watched it. Well, excellent. I'm glad you left a comment. Yeah, we've been having trouble getting people to leave comments. And I say right on the show, hey, would you leave a comment? It's the least you can do. It's actually not the least you can do, but it's pretty slight. There's not a whole lot to it. Just get on there and say, hey, you look like death warmed over. I don't like your V-neck shirts. Cut your hair. I really love the show. These are comments. I'm just giving you suggestions. All right, y'all. I'm not seeing any questions. They're not coming in, so it's going to be a short night. I appreciate everybody tuning in here. As always, welcome to the Bunker Nation. Glad you could be here. I'm going to continue to be giving updates on our COVID situation. I keep saying it because we're probably going to get banned anyway. And as we progress through this, Lord willing, with a happy ending, we will let you know everything that happens and what we're going through and all this kind of stuff. Oh, I meant to say we did get contacted by the county. They apparently they have a Frank Nitti like Gestapo squad that contacts you after you get a positive test, and then they want to get a bunch of information. We've just been hard to reach and will remain hard to reach, just because I don't feel like it's a lot of their business. And I know they're going to want to ask a bunch of questions and stuff that not that important to me. So anyways, we'll keep you up on what's going on, everything that happens. So you got the inside scoop on how we get through this and all that kind of stuff. And we'll talk more. As we know, the people are buying up all the paper products. They're buying up all the water. My dad contacted me today and said, having trouble finding any paper products or water in all the stores around him. More people posting that kind of stuff online. But you all knew it here months ago. In fact, you knew it back in March that things were going to get better and better and better and better and better. Than in November, things were going to get worse. Because I told you specifically those things. One of these days, I'm going to go through some of those early videos in March and early April, and I'm just going to do a I told you so vignette of all the stuff I told you. But you all know it, and I know it, and American people don't know it. But that's why we should share this, and that's why you should do comments, and that's why you should subscribe, because that helps the YouTube algorithm, and maybe more people will get to see it. And when I'm predicting the future about 2021, you guys will, there'll be more of us here to share it. All right, I got to go. I appreciate you all. God bless you. I love you. Lord willing, I'll see you again, if not tomorrow night, maybe the next night, but soon enough, I'll see you when I see you. Have a good one.